going to move over to you now, Jeremy. And you are the owner, broker of Whitetail Dreams Real Estate. Can you, well, don't start from the total beginning of like graduating from high school with stellar grades and scholarship options and all of that. Just move on to,
how we got here.
How did you get here?
Yeah, I think Pat kind of covers some of that early on. There's a huge void in the traditional sense of real estate. And what a lot of people didn't realize is that when I got into real estate, through a large development company. And that started the whole ball rolling in the sales aspect of it. And like Pat, I had a background that was prepping me unknowingly to be really good at the land side of things. And what happened is we started to see these huge gaps between the residential side of things, the typical realtors, and handing a card to everybody and just showing everybody everything. So as I benefited through my career by a really good mentor, the basis of it was, what can we do to help you? And we took it one step further. I said, these people, they absolutely have no clue about real estate. They have a house, they have a piece of land. It is what it is at that point. It's grass, dirt, and trees. They have no idea what makes it a house or a home, or why mortgages work, why notes work, and lending, or any of that stuff. And I thought, as I started developing, was looking at different pieces of land and buying stuff, there was this huge gap of people just they couldn't tell you anything about property. Well, when I was learning to sell property, we were like, what made me really good, and what even internally in the company that I worked for, was they were always like, why are you so good? Like, how do you continually get more deals? How are you continuing to be good with selling these properties where other people have a shortcoming? And it was always in like, what's he saying? How is he getting people to do this? It came down to educating people. It came down to just simply having a conversation and not just saying, you're going to sit here and you're going to sit here, but just say, take a seat. Where would you like to be? How does this help your life? How does this enhance your life? What do you want this property to do for you? Again, we go back to we're solving a problem that people have in their life. And if we just took that, and then of course that, I came out of the development world and had a bad car accident, and it made me realize that I really hadn't fulfilled my full potential. And so I started looking at some other options and what I really wanted to do, and kind of how I could couple my upbringing with the real estate world. And I ended up at another large company. And again, they say so many times, and I didn't realize until I got older, like sometimes companies where you're working are teaching you more about who you don't want to be than who you want to be. And really just kind of teaching you who you are. And I just said, one day I'm like, they wanted more from me. Like, what more can you do? What more can you do? And I hated that corporate drive mentality. I hated that you wanted to steal all my time for the benefit of money. And then I really hated the fact that they just didn't care about you. And that bothered me to my core and who I was as a person. And I just said, one day I just threw my hands up and I said, I'm gonna start my own company. And
was that scary?
Not really. I mean,
That's not a typical answer for most people.
You're a little more of a risk taker by nature.
Yeah,
you're a little more, the entrepreneurship spirit is pretty strong with.
Yeah, and so I don't want to turn it around, but you know me very well. We've worked together, and Pat's come to know me pretty well. I'm not bothered by things. Like, I lived through 2007, 2008.
In the real estate.
In the real estate world. This is all I've done. I mean, this is pretty much all I've ever done. And I just was unfazed. When you get everything stolen from you, it's gone overnight. And I say stolen, I think that a lot of us feel that way in the real estate world. We felt like we were given opportunities to do things. There was predatory lending that was going on. There was a lot of weird things going on. So I use the word, it was stolen from you, because you were set up to fail. They didn't know it was going to fail at the time, but there were signs. And it was all gone. And I just said, well, I'm going to rebuild this. I'm going to retool this. But I'm going to, because I lost property at that time. I lost my house. I lost vacant land. We short saled some things. And it was a tough time. But I learned through all that how to be a better real estate agent. Everything that was happening in my life was like, the good Lord is like, I'm going to make you a better person for this. And now when we handle this and through the process of starting Whitetail Dreams, and we were going to go at it with, you're going to be educated. You're going to buy properties with value. If it's a property that didn't have the appropriate value, you were going to know why. And we were going to start a company with good scruples that showed people a value and educated the buyers and sellers along the way of what they were doing. The first thing we started learning was that people were sold properties, they had no idea what they had bought.
Right.
And that was first and foremost. We prelude some of that was my background in title insurance. I learned a lot. I had a great mentor in the title insurance world. Still get to work with him today. I'm pretty fortunate that.
Can you just stop for a second? Sure. There are going to be people who don't know what title insurance is.
There's a lot of people, including as of before 2018, me.
Yeah. So anytime that there's a transaction in the marketplace, back in the day, you used to take your paperwork to an attorney, and that attorney or lawyer would give you his opinion on whether or not your title was good, meaning good.
The land title.
The land title, that your deed, a warranted deed gives you by nature, gives you a bundle of rights, right? So you have your bundle of rights, a piece of enjoyment and full ownership and all of this.
And to a degree, too, to mention, that's the warranty deed. And people are probably familiar with, if they've had any type of like a familial transaction, they might have gotten a quit claim deed, which is not so much what you see
Correct.
in a typical real estate transaction. The quit claim deed is basically built into the title of the deed saying, yeah, we're quitting all claims of anything here. We're just taking it, so quote unquote, as is, maybe, so
Correct.
to speak,
Yep.
another way. Whereas the warranty deed is really the umbrella of protection that people get when they buy a home or buy land. So,
as you can see, we've given them an education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it goes deeper than that. There's trustees deeds, personal rep deeds, the quit claim deed, the warranty deed. But at the end of the day, it started to get to a point where we were like, if you wanted to buy a property and you got an attorney's opinion and something went wrong, whether it was your access or your legal rights to ownership of the property, or background showed that somebody may have not, but still like having an equitable portion of your title, you would have to sue an attorney to get that resolved. So step up, these title insurance companies were created to ensure that if there was a problem, they would take their team of attorneys and help you resolve a problem. They stood behind you with you. The company I worked for was an abstract company. And so I learned property from the beginning of property, from a government lot, from the patents, and all the way up through today and how it's subdivided. And it was so intriguing to me that people didn't understand what they were owning. And I took that same knowledge and that same mentorship, and I just kind of carried it through title insurance. And it's infuriating to other agents who don't. They rely on the system to just say if there's a problem, versus us going, hey, this is what this document is, this is what this company does, and this is how you're insured. This is a problem. We need to resolve this. So then we added another step to every single stage of the program that we were going to do, that I was going to put my name on. That'd be my legacy. It wouldn't be like, hey, we created the greatest real estate company and we did all of this amazing stuff. It was every deal that had our name on it was going to be a legitimately good deal. Problems were going to be solved if there was an issue. We weren't going to brush it to the side and just get past it. We were going to address it, fix it, and make sure that that person who was buying that had all their bundle of rights that were possible. Okay. And that was important to me with the new company. So we forged forward, get my broker's license. You know, I had already been educated through several other states, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And those they're no joke. Like, they're no joke. Like, Minnesota is tough. Their education in the real estate world is really tough. They're one of the toughest I've seen. And Michigan was really tough as well. They're complicated states, and they hold their agents to really high standards. So I took the Wisconsin broker's test, and we passed, and we just we're going to sell hunting land. And we're going to sell it with a certain amount of knowledge. We're going to do it a certain way. We're going to, you know, you hate to bring up a guy. Gary Vaynerchuk is like, I watch a lot of his stuff, and he says we should sell from the heart. And my grandfather always said, like, if you just do your job the best of your ability, and do the right thing, everything else will just work itself out. Sure. And it drives people crazy, because there's times we just don't let a deal close, and it could be something that's pretty simple. And
I think it's almost a whole nother segment or topic that we'll get into with the nuances of the word we keep using, title, with title work, title commitment, title insurance. We'll get to all of it, but I think it's important for people to understand when you're saying, like, not letting it close, you're saying stopping it, versus maybe a history of people, quote unquote, not saying anything. Yeah, your offer to purchase states that you get, you know, this title work in Wisconsin. Again, everything we're pretty much talking about is going to be based on Wisconsin real estate. Right. Other states, different laws, different story. But in Wisconsin, in our offer to purchase mandated use document created by the Wisconsin Real Estate Examining Board for us to use, that title insurance and title commitment statement or clause, however, contingency is in there. But what people may not know is when that title work comes back to you per the offer, it says you have so many days to show it to an attorney for them to look it over. Your agent can and should be looking it over. And the thing that doesn't have to happen, though, is if there's something in that title work that the title insurance company just isn't going to insure, like the exact location of an easement, the exact width of an easement. If no one says anything or objects to the title, it's just going to close. And you as the buyer now have this that you may not even realize if you didn't know how to read it, and if your agent wasn't willing to say that is a problem and find a way to fix it. So I think that's important for people to understand when you're talking about this protection as a business owner you wanted to offer them. There's other companies that don't feel the need to do that.
Well, I think it goes a step further than that too. I mean, it's kind of the dog chasing its tail. So it's in our industry, it's very typical that in majority of the deals that the seller is providing that title insurance policy, right? When I get it, I know exactly where to look, right? So I look at things, and then if there's a problem, I call the seller. Say, hey, did you know about this? And they're like, no. There's so many times that they bought something, they don't have any idea what they bought. So our job, what we do is they're our client, right? They're not just somebody on the street. We're contractually obligated with these people, and we say, hey, this is a problem, and then we go through the appropriate steps to fix it, whether it's hiring attorneys or whatever.